So if you're watching this video, it's pretty likely that you may be somebody who's been cold calling for some time now. However, you're reaching that point, kind of that threshold where you're starting to question, does cold calling even work, or does it just not work for you? So you're reaching that point, and no matter what field that you are in, you may be thinking, cold calling is dead. It doesn't work anymore. But you come to the right video because I am an expert at cold calling in real estate. However, the skills that I'm going to give you today works in any field that you're cold calling, because I'm going to tell you how to cold call to success by really qualifying your leads in 1 minute or less. And the number one way you do that is by controlling the conversation. Guys, you have to control the conversation when you are cold calling, but that's pretty basic, right? So I'm not going to give you basic things. I'm actually going to dive a little bit more in depth about what I'm saying. So the first thing that you need to know is that I've been cold calling for 2.5 years full time with real estate investing. So what I'm going to share with you is an accumulation of everything that I've learned throughout those 2.5 years of cold calling full time real estate investing. And I also wrote a course called Cold Call to Success, the course. And in the course, I share with you what I'm going to share with you here, but I go way more in detail, and there's a lot more things that are added on. The course is about 2.5 hours long, and you can order that course by going ahead and clicking the link in the description. So let's get right to it. And before we get right to it, if you could do me a favor and smash that like and subscribe button, that would be awesome. So we can get more information just like this scrolling through your YouTube feed. So that'll keep you on your journey of success. All right, without further ado, the first thing you have to do in order to control the conversation is you have to let your seller believe that they are in control of the conversation, right? So seller is your client, whoever it may be, whatever field. This works for whatever field. So you want to get them to believe that they're in control by letting them say no. Yes, I said let them say no. So you want them to feel like that they had the option to say yes or no, right? So what does that look like? What does that look like as far as getting them to say yes or no? So I'm going to give you an example here. I want you, if you don't do anything else, take this example that I'm going to give you and use it on your next cold call. And if that works, I want you to go and order Cold Call to Success. All right, so this is what it is. If you're calling somebody, instead of getting them to say, yes, this is John Doe or Jane Doe who you're looking to call, you want to say, hey, John, my name is D'Angelo. I'm giving you a call from Jungle Properties about the property on 123 Main Street. Did I catch you at a bad time? I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I? Either one of those. Did I catch you at a bad time? I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I? Right there, guys, they're going to say no. And when they say no, what you are able to do from there is now you show that you actually care about the person, and you're not just there to figure out whatever product or whatever you're selling, service, whatever it is, you care about that person and their time. So that's automatically going to set you apart. I'm not going to lie to you and say cold calling is easy. It's not easy. It builds character, and it takes a special kind of person to go and sit on the phone for hours hearing things that, a lot of people couldn't withstand and keep going. So if you are doing this, you have to set yourself apart. And one way is, I did not catch you at a bad time, did I? Did I catch you at a bad time? Either one, whatever you feel most comfortable saying. You say that to your seller. Watch how your conversation rate goes up. Instead of people hanging up on you, they will stay on the phone and actually listen to what you're saying versus just thinking you're, just like the other people who've been calling them. You set yourself apart. Now, they say no, right? But what happens if they say yes? Yes, you did catch me at a bad time. Then this is where this comes in. You have to say, no worries, I'll make this fast. And then you ask your question. So what that does right there, no worries, I'll make this fast. Remember, you just asked them about their time. So they know that you care. But when you say, no worries, I'll make this fast, they're more prone to hear you because they know that you're going to make it fast because they know that you caught them at a bad time. Guys, cold calling, just as much as it's about, as getting on the phones, it's a lot about psychology. A lot of split-second decisions, a lot of micro expressions, which really is only displayed through the tone of the voice. All of that is displayed within a cold call and especially within the first minute. That's why I say you are learning right here how to qualify your lead in 1 minute or less. So within that first minute, you will be able to find out if they are looking to sell their property. If they are looking to sell their property, then why are they looking to sell besides getting the right price? You can figure that out within the first minute. If they're not looking to sell, you'll be able to figure out if they have another property that they are looking to sell, right? Because you always ask that question as well. So again, the advice that I'm giving you, I'm expert in real estate investing. That's what I do. That's my thing. That's my real life outside of this social media stuff. I do that. That's what I do. Now, you may be in sales, for a car salesman place. You may be a debt collector. You may be in any other avenue. But what I want to tell you, even if you're a debt collector, especially if you're a debt collector or anybody that's trying to rush someone to say yes on the phone, stop doing that. You don't want to get on the phone and say, hey, is John available? Like, no, don't do that. Don't. Because you sound like a debt collector. If you get on the phone and say, hey, John, right? I teach my students that. I teach my students the assumption method. You assume that you got the right person. You always want to do that. Hey, John, this is D'Angelo with Jungle Properties. Calling about the property on 123 Main Street. I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I? I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I? Great. You always want to do that right there. You don't want to sound like a debt collector. You don't want to sound like no super salesman. You want to sound like you know this person. You want to sound like you're familiar with this person and that you genuinely care about their time. Now, the reason why you say no worries, I'll make this fast is because you have to care about your time as well. Don't get caught up in this thing of somebody telling you, yeah, you called me at a bad time. And then you say, oh, well, when can I call you back? They don't know you. They don't care about you. They not even if you set a time to call back, they may not answer because you didn't do anything to set yourself apart. Now, if you go and you ask that question, even if they say, yeah, you called me at a bad time, man, can you just give me a call back in about 3 hours? You say, oh yeah, no problem. So just to confirm, you are interested in selling the property on 123 Main Street, right? You say that. You always want to make the most out of your time. You care about their time, but you also care about your time as well, right? You have to put yourself first. So care about your time by making sure you say, no worries, I'll make this fast. After you ask, did I catch you at a bad time? And they respond with yes. Now, guys, if you don't do nothing else, take that bit of information and go apply it on your next phone call, and the results will speak for themselves. I'm telling you, but once the results speak, I want you to order Cold Call to Success for your own benefit, guys. I give away so much information. And another thing that I give away, and this one is really, really, really huge. The way you control the conversation is by using what I call the formula, right? So I designed a formula. I noticed the pattern over all these calls that I've made, it's been many of calls. I've closed over 50 deals within these 2.5 years. So, on top of how many calls it took me to get the deal, right? So, guys, you have to know that you have to use the formula, right? But the formula, that is, you have to answer any question or comment from your seller with a comment and question about business. Now, what does that mean, right? Now, I'm sure you can think of 1,000 things that may mean, but I can tell you this formula right here is what has caused my business to be completely virtual, right? Completely virtual. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I do my business, about 90% of it is handled in Cincinnati, Ohio, right? That's where 90% of my business is handled, and I'm here physically located in Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm able to do my entire business from really anywhere in the world, really because of I use this formula and I noticed this formula. This formula is, and just to give you an example, I'll just go ahead and freaking give you guys an example, right? Now, the example I'm going to give you, it won't be in the course. Actually, I'll tell you. So one example, and this, I give you the detailed answer in the course, right? But what if someone asks you, are you just going to wholesale the property? What are you going to say? And I want you to think about that. But I can tell you the formula for that, no matter what you say, the formula, right, is to answer that right there, that question with a comment and a question. So you're going to comment, you're going to answer their question. You're not going to just skip over it, right? You're going to answer their question, but then you're going to ask a question to really get them back on their toes, to where the ball and the control is back in your court and they're reacting to what you're throwing out versus you just answering that question and then letting them process it and ask another question. So again, that's just one, and I go into deep detail because if I couldn't answer that question correctly, I would not be able to virtual wholesale real estate. So there is a correct answer to that question, but this is the formula, right? So there's a difference. Now, the formula, if you just use the formula, it literally, you can find yourself skipping, falling into some deals just by doing that formula. You'll be able to slip onto a deal because you've already mastered the formula. So almost when you use the formula, it almost doesn't matter what you say. And I go into detail. I'll show you guys everything about how it doesn't matter, but it really almost doesn't. It's really wild. So use that formula if you can. But I'll go ahead and give you guys an example that's not in the course, right? So what about if someone asks you, what is the last address of the property that you guys purchased? Right? Think about it. If a seller asks you that question, what are you going to say? Now, the seller, they're asking that question. They have all right to ask that question, right? In their mind, they do. You're a random person giving them a call on the phone and want to buy their real estate investment property. And no different if you're a freaking, credit lender or, a car salesman, whoever you are, right? If you're a car salesman, they may ask you, what's the last car that you guys sold? Who knows what they'll ask you, right? Right? So what I want to let you guys know is they ask this question, you implement the formula, right? So what does that formula kind of look like, right? So you'll say, seller, we purchased property all throughout the city, but my job is to call and see if you're interested in selling. So I'm not sure of the logistics. Do you own property in any other parts of town? So look what just happened there. You asked the question, you answered their question, right? With the comment right there. You commented, you answered the question. But you also say, you defer. So I teach you guys this as well in Cold Call to Success. You have to have a deferment in place. It may sound cool to say, I own all this. I'm the one buying all these properties. That may sound cool, but guess what? If that's true, then what's going to happen is everything falls back on you as well. So keep that to yourself. Keep your business to yourself. They don't need to know that you're the one who make the whole run, right? You want them to think that there's somebody ahead of you, because when they think that there's someone ahead of you, you can do what I just did there. You say, my job is just to get on the phone, qualify the lead. I'm not sure of the logistics, but do you own property in any other parts of town? So what you're doing right there, you're deferring, to your purchase manager. Your role is one thing, right? But then on the flip side of that, you're also being able to build rapport with your seller. So now your seller is not mad at you for not knowing what property you guys purchased. They understand that your role is simply to figure out if they're selling, yes or no. But on the flip side of that, you've already asked, did you catch them at a bad time? You've already built rapport there. And now you're coming in, with their kind of pushback question, because I call this seller pushbacks. I have a whole section on how to deal with seller pushbacks, the most common ones. But you come in and you give them the answer that they're looking for, but then you also say, do you own any property in any other parts of town? And that gets them to do what everybody loves to do, no matter who you are, which is talk about yourself. Everybody loves to talk about themselves. So you get them opening up to start talking about themselves. Pretty soon, they're not even thinking about asking you any more questions. So now you keep the ball rolling, and you see how I flipped it to about business, because you always want to make it about business. Your sellers might try to veer off road a little bit. Here's an example of that. So your seller, remember I said you answer any comment or question with a comment and question, right? So your seller, that first example, they ask you a question. Now this one, they just want to make a comment, and you still answer with a comment and a question, all right? So the next one is, say if you ask, besides getting the right price, what other reasons are you looking to sell? Or you ask something like that, right? Why are you looking to sell the property? Whatever. And they say, I was going to give the property to my grandkids, but I might just sell it. Now you have a decision right there to make. Like I said, guys, this stuff is more mental than physical, right? It's more mental as far as, what type of approach you're going to take than physical of how many calls you're making. And that's, really true in any area of life, for real, guys. It's all about the mental. So you have to, with this question, I was going to give the property to my grandkids, but I may just sell it, right? So with that answer to the question of why you're selling, you right there, you say, got it. Can you tell me, is the property currently vacant or occupied? Guys, what happens right there, right? You still comment, got it. Simple, simple. Can you tell me is the property vacant or occupied? What do you do right there? Now you look at, you got to realize, guys, everything that you see in any avenue of life, it's more than what you see. It's more than what you see. It's more so how you perceive it. And it's also about why do you perceive it that way. So that's with anything in life, guys, like it's anything in life. So you have to realize why, like for you right now, that may just seem like, oh, whatever, that's just common sense. You know, I keep going about my script. But the why you perceive it to be important, why I perceive this to be important is more important. The reason that this is important is because you have to realize that if you make the wrong decision right there, which could look like, oh, wow, that's great that you're giving it to your grandkids. Just make a comment, right? If you just say something like that, you know, you're opening up the floodgates to this seller to start talking to you about, you know, how old their grandkids are, what their grandkids doing in their life, you know, what they are doing in their life, which causing them to not sell the property, a whole bunch of things that you don't want. Remember, the goal is to qualify our lead in 1 minute or less. Now, once you qualify the yes or no and you know why they're looking to sell, all that happens in the first minute. That next minute, only thing that happens is you get information about the property, and you know from that it kind of can vary just because they may give you a whole backstory about the property or whatever other details associated with it. But from the moment you call till you figure out if they're looking to sell and why they're looking to sell, that's all 1 minute. It can take longer if you lose control of the conversation. I just gave you guys the blueprint of how to control the conversation. Again, it's a blueprint. There's not exact dimensions filled in. I don't have exact, you know, placement of areas. If you want all that information, go to Cold Call to Success, the course. Click that link below in the bio. Guys, I give away all of the information. I'm talking about, you know, what do you say when the person who answers the phone, they say that, you know, the owner is deceased. What do you say right there? With a way that you can build rapport and not sound, you know, like a butthole. What do you actually say? So that's something that I give you guys as well. What do you say? Another thing. What do you say, you know, when the seller says, well, don't you have to look at the property before you make an offer? What do you say right there, right? Like, guys, this is so much information that if I didn't know how to do this, again, my business could not be virtual. And it's been completely virtual for 2 years, right? So you have to, you guys, I mean, for your own sake, implement this information. I really want you to just go on your next phone call and say, I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I? Right? And if they say yes, you say, no worries, I'll make this fast. And you see how good you feel by being able to control that conversation. You'll make me proud. You'll make yourself proud. And most of all, you're going to make your pockets happy because I'm teaching you guys how to get to the bag. You can learn how to get good leads. You can learn, you know, how to get good phone numbers. I show you guys the batch skip tracing technique. You can learn all of this and not know how to talk to these sellers. And if you don't know how to talk to these sellers, you're losing money. And the reason you don't know how to talk to these sellers is because you don't know how to control the conversation. You could even have a script. I mean, I'm going to be frank with you. Most of the scripts that you see online, they're decent, right? I've even downloaded a couple free ones myself, but they don't give you the details of what you need to control the pace, control the conversation, qualify your leads in 1 minute or less. Cold call to success. I teach you guys how to cold call to success by qualifying your leads in 1 minute or less. Click the link below, and as always, get the step in and subscribe and like for more content just like this. Appreciate you watching. As always,